I met a North Korean person, and they made this. So basically, 2 days ago, I went on a trip with the Soju company, Julia Bona's company. Great people, give good tours. So we went to a distillery out in Chungju, and basically, backstory of this woman. She lives on the very north of North Korea, and she escaped 13 years ago, and she came to the south, and she was working in a factory in Eumseong, and she was thinking to herself, what do I have? What knowledge and skills do I have to make it, right? Nothing wrong with working in a factory, but she wanted more for that because she has a daughter. She wanted to give her daughter the best life here in South Korea. So she thought, my grandfather had a soju recipe. And he gave it to his daughter, and her mom gave it to her, obviously, down the line. And so she worked at this factory, and she saved every single penny possible. Bills are paid, daughter's stuff is paid, every other cent went to this distillery. So she starts the distillery. It's her, and I think there's another part-time woman working there. It's fascinating listening to her. The accent is just so bloody different from... when I go, it doesn't sound like the Gwangju accent, but when I go to Gwangju, I'm often taken aback with holy shit, I only understand about a third of what Koreans say where I'm from in Korea, right? Once we hit Gwangju, I'm getting about, I'm not even joking, it's 10. It's way less. So I was listening to her talk. Now, it was clearer, and I understand more of her words, but the delivery and the intonation was so different from what I'm used to. There's a scene in Parasite with the original housemaid who imitates a North Korean news announcer. And maybe that's my bias because I don't have a lot of experience with the North Korean accent, but it genuinely did remind me of that a bit. Not the kind of over-the-top bloviated is the word I'm looking for. But there were some similarities in the woman in the movie copying North Korean accent, and then what I heard yesterday. Anyway, so she made some North Korean style soju, and she gave it to test audiences, and she said 30% of them liked it, and 70% of them didn't. And all her friends here in South Korea were saying, you gotta change the recipe, you gotta change the recipe. And she was saying, if I change the recipe, what do I have, right? She's literally the only person in the country making North Korean style soju. So she's like, even if I change the recipe to appeal to the audience or the consumers that I have now, that would defeat the whole purpose, right? There would be nothing that I have to give. So she kept at it. The more expensive one was $45, and it was a ganghwa, so it was a fortified makgeolli. And she puts chili pepper seeds in it. At $45, I couldn't justify buying it. This is much more of a standard soju, and it was $14,000. Cute little guy on the bottle. It's called Nongtaegi. So let's look at the ingredients. Fairly straightforward, but rice, Korean rice, 29.3%. The wheat nuruk is 0.93%, and then kind of like a concentrated yeast. It's 0.023. So she makes makgeolli first, obviously, as in every good soju. And then she distills the top layer without the rice sediment in it, and that's what you get here. One of the number one things that I notice about this is its similarity to, star anise, licorice, anise seed. So having been so close to the Chinese border when she was growing up, for most of her life, she's probably 50. She came here 13 years ago, right? So most of her life was spent in the north. My comparisons to baijiao, quite strong. Much like this is. This is 25%. Yeah, there's that licoricey, which I don't mind. In baijiao, it can be pretty goddamn strong. Now that's A, because it's 40%. B, there's quite a strong licorice taste in there, which I don't mind, but I don't love it either. Baijiao is a special treat for me. I don't drink it that often. This, though, with the lower alcohol and a much milder licorice flavor, is much more drinkable than baijiao is. But I imagine because of her proximity to the border of China, there's still some ancient kind of cooking and distilling traditions that are probably similar in those parts, right? Very cool introduction. I'd never talked to a North Korean person at that point. And I wasn't nervous. Like, she's human like anyone else, right? It's mainly because my Korean is not great. So I would basically be kind of saying like, 이거 소주 시원해요. Because it is pretty refreshing. There's a nice nu룽지 burnt rice flavor to it. And that's balanced pretty evenly with that licorice flavor. Nice balance there. And I said, 정말 맛있어요. I wanted to interact with her, but again, and we were in a big group. That's why I didn't film there. I was not hungover, but I had a big beer tasting the day before. I drank for 10 hours straight. I didn't get crazy, but I was consistent. And so on Sunday, I did that, and it's like, I don't want to film. I just want to enjoy. Plus, I'm in a group of 23 people, so filming and like kind of getting in everyone's face, even if they're not being interviewed, I don't want to get in the group's face, right? So yeah, yesterday was fucking amazing. Yeah, lots of soju. We made some gochujang. We went around Chungju and ChungBuk-do. It was great, yeah. But if I honestly don't know the availability of this. She's only been distilling for 3 years. So, years. I'm a blue blood aristocrat from England. Anyway, so I can't imagine that she's super widespread, especially if you're in Seoul, like probably most of my viewers are, or at least Gyeonggi-do. The ChungBuk soju scene may not quite be as available up here as it is there. I've never seen this. Granted, I'm not a guy who searches out soju often, but if you can find this, get one, because, again, she's the only North Korean soju distiller in the country. It's pretty cool. I mean, even taking aside the alcohol and taste perspective of it, just having that experience. I've been here 10 years. I never talked to a North Korean person that I know of. Maybe in a store to see you. Maybe someone's North Korean and I buy something and say thanks. But like that hardly counts as talking to a North Korean person. So, yeah. If I can find some information, I'll put some links to her brewery or distillery, I guess, below. But very cool experience. Very cool experience. And good on her for escaping. Anyway, until next time.